Israel needed to find a defenseless target to annihilate. The main New York Times correspondent in Israel is a fellow named Ethan Bronner, and around a week into the massacre he said, Israel's larger concern was to reestablish Israeli deterrence because its enemies are less afraid of it than they once were or should be. And trying to preserve its deterrence capacity has always been a major focus of Israeli strategic doctrine. In fact, that's pretty much how we got here today. The Gaza and the West Bank, Israel came to occupy those areas during the June 1967 war. The Israelis have always feared that the Arab world might one day modernize and then pose a threat to its hegemony, its control over the region. And one of those Israelis who was very concerned was a divisional commander. He later became quite well known, Ariel Sharon. And Mr. Sharon said that we have to attack Egypt. Why? Because Israel is losing its deterrence capacity. Our main weapon, the fear of us. And that's what deterrence capacity is. It's preserving the Arab world's fear of Israel. And whenever they feel that this fear of Israel is diminishing, whenever they feel the natives are getting restless and too uppity, then they have to move in and cut them down to size. The Arabs, of course, only understanding the language of force. Every once in a while, you have to take out the big club and break their skull. In May 2000, after an 18-year-long guerrilla war, the Hezbollah, the Party of God, ejected Israel from South Lebanon. Israel suffered a humiliating defeat, one that was celebrated throughout the Arab world, and the leader of the Hezbollah, Sheikh Nasrallah, wouldn't cease to remind the Israelis in his periodic speeches. He kept saying, "We're no longer afraid of you." Well, Israel knew that its deterrence capacity was being challenged. The Arabs weren't afraid. And so, immediately after the end of its occupation of South Lebanon, it began planning a new war against the Hezbollah. In 2006, July 2006, now we're closer to the present. In July 2006, Israel found its pretext, went into Lebanon, unleashed the full fury of its air force, prepared a massive ground invasion, but alas, it suffered at the hands of the Hezbollah, the Party of God. It suffered yet another ignominious defeat. The Israeli army was basically defeated by village militias stationed on the border with Israel. Well, a disaster for Israel. Its deterrence capacity has now diminished. Israel wants another crack at the Hezbollah. For Israel, we're down, but we're not yet out. However, they didn't yet have a military option against the Hezbollah. Israel then tried to recruit the United States for an attack on Iran. The United States, Bush and Cheney, gave a thumbs down, said to the Israelis, we're not going to attack Iran. Then some of the Israelis went around saying, if the United States doesn't go in with conventional weapons against Iran, we're, meaning the Israelis, are going to go in with unconventional weapons, nuclear weapons. The United States still said no. Well, Iran has gone its merry way. Israel was humiliated, and its deterrence capacity had dropped another notch. So now Israel needed to find a defenseless target to annihilate in order to restore the Arab world's fear of it. And that's where Gaza enters the picture. Gaza being Israel's favorite shooting gallery. Even there in Gaza, the feebly armed Islamic movement Hamas had defiantly resisted Israeli dictate, and in June 2008 even forced Israel to sign a ceasefire or agree to a ceasefire. So the goal was, we're going to attack Gaza to restore our deterrence capacity.